Well, that cheery music tells you it's time for It's a Constituency Knockout, where we pit two MPs against each other to find out who represents the crown jewel of constituencies and who is from a rotten borough. Contestant number one, what's your name and where'd you come from?
My name is Rupa Huck and I am from sunny Ealing Central and Acton.
How enthusiastic is Rupa Huck about Ealing Central and Acton? Contestant number two, what's your name and where'd you come from?
My name's Marie Tidball and I'm the Member of Parliament for Penistone and Stocksbridge.
Brilliant. And both contestants are Labour MPs, but one is in a red wall seat and one is in a suburban London seat. So let's see if we can work out some differences. But let's start with you, contestant number one, Rupa Huck. The point about this feature is also to give hard-working backbench MPs the chance to talk about the work they are doing in their constituency and what's in their postbag. What are you campaigning on, Rupa Huck?
I'm campaigning on gluten-free because if you have the condition of celiac disease, you might have to pay 6 times more for your weekly shop through no fault of your own. And other countries do this better. I think in Italy, they've got a very good system, whereas we medicalise it and make it through the NHS.
And how does it emerge as a constituency issue for you, Rupa?
When you have someone who comes to see you, I mean, recently a victory that we had was abiraterone, which is a drug for prostate cancer. It's something actually my own dad, who was a constituent as well, had he lived to see me have this new job change because he'd expired before then. But anyway, he was a prostate cancer sufferer, and a chap who had it, Peter from Acton, came to see me at an advice surgery and pointed out an anomaly where this abiraterone drug was available to all sufferers of it in Wales and Scotland, but not in England. And so that made me get in a German debate. It made me find Wes Streeting and bend his ear. And the other week we heard that the law has changed and it will be available to all. And that was somebody coming to see me on a Friday like today who brought it home to me.
It really brings it home to me as well, Rupa Huck, that going to see your local MP can really make a difference. Marie Tidball, tell us what you're campaigning on in Penistone and Stocksbridge. What's in your postbag?
A huge amount of things, but one of the things that I'm proudest of in my first year and a half in Parliament is the work that I've been doing with my amazing constituent Claire Throssell, MBE, whose 2 sons were killed by their father in a house fire 11 years ago. And it was a hugely overwhelming moment when I promised her before I was elected that if I was elected, I would help her to repeal the presumption of contact, which allowed her 2 boys to be at risk by their father. And just over 2 years after I made that promise to her as the Member of Parliament, I was able to take her to the Terracotta Room in Downing Street to meet with the Prime Minister, who took that promise from me and made that promise directly to her, as he then followed up in the chamber 2 days later to say that we would repeal the presumption of contact. So that's been a massive campaign. That constituent has been incredible and is much loved locally. And I don't want any more towns to grieve in the way that my hometown, Penistone, did when those 2 boys, Claire's sons, died.
Well, I've got to say, both of you are now winners because you've both really been 2 of the best MPs at really communicating what it means to be a backbench MP and how constituents can use talented and hardworking MPs to bring about changes that are necessary. But let's go now to the actual contest to decide who's actually got the most interesting constituency. We're going to start with you, Rupa Huck. What is your first fact about Ealing Central?
My first fact is probably you may have seen my constituency without knowing it because, the BBC, the old broadcasting house, was just over the border in Andy Slaughter's seat in London W12. But because of that, Ealing and Acton, W3 and W5, there's a lot of scenery there that could pass for other places. So Inspector Morse's house was not in Oxfordshire. That's just down the road from my school. In Ealing W13, in fact. And Only Fools and Horses, the opening titles of that, the sort of tower blocks that you see, Mandela House in Peckham, is not in Peckham, it's in Acton, which is a short
Those are cracking.
BBC
Those are cracking
studio.
facts, Rupak. I thought Marie Tidball was going to have an unfair advantage in this game because she was a councillor in Oxford and also stood in Abingdon, the next door constituency to mine. But very cleverly bringing in Inspector Morse, you may have levelled the playing field. Marie, come back from that.
Oh, I can. People in Penistone and Stocksbridge literally shoot for the stars. Helen Sharman was the first British person, the first Western woman to go to space in 1991. Sharman was born and raised in Grenoside in my constituency and was selected to go to space by winning a competition out of nearly 13,000 people. And at the time, the UK press, and you might remember this, Ed, labelled her the girl from Mars because she'd worked as a chemist for the famous chocolate bar before becoming an astronaut.
Is there a Helen Sharman statue or Helen Sharman plaque?
There isn't, but that I'm aware of, but it sounds like there should be, I think.
That's got to change. That's got to change.
It does.
Do you know what?
My next campaign, maybe.
I'll sign the EDM.
What?
I will sign the early day motion.
Right, well, we've got some political action coming out of this. I cannot decide. It's a tie. I've never done this before, but I've got to say Inspector Morse's house and the opening sequence of Only Fools and Horses would normally win, but Helen Sharman is so good, it's a tie. So it's going down to the wire. What's the second fact, Rupa Huck?
It's a very tasty constituency. So the in the House of Commons, quite often on a Wednesday after PMQs, MPs do a thing called Taste of, and usually it's a whole county, Taste of Shropshire, and then you've got food producers from Shropshire in a horseshoe-shaped tables thing with all their wares. We had one the other day called Taste of Park Royal. It's just one industrial estate in my seat. It is the oldest and biggest in London. And there were all sorts of wares on display, from cheese to baklava to all sorts. What else
Haven't you got the McVitie's factory in Park Royal?
Actually, that is in Park Royal, you are correct, but it's in the Brent bit. Ooh, you have to get your passport out and the barriers come down.
Okay, so...
But no, there are crisps at the thing, there all sorts of snacks. World food, it's known as the World Kitchen. And also the first ever Nando's in the UK is in Ealing Common. Which
That's
is
a
between
cracker.
Ealing
You saved it at the end there, Rupa Huck. Can you come back from that, Marie?
Oh, I can indeed. The famous Isle toilet paper, the first ever medicated toilet paper, was created and manufactured in Chapeltown in Newton Chambers. It was made as a byproduct of coal, a type of oil which repelled water and had mild antibacterial properties, being used as a disinfectant and then added to rolls of brown manila paper. For many of your listeners, they may remember that it was popular, and it was popular initially because of a desire to kill germs after the Spanish flu pandemic, and was memorable for being quite hard and shiny, and even sometimes had cartoons printed on them, including illustrations of Hitler. So during World War II, after that period, Newton Chambers was controlled by the Admiralty and produced was the largest manufacturer of Churchill tanks.
Marie, what is medicated toilet paper? Is it a thing today?
I don't think it is. They stopped. I think they stopped producing in in 2010. I think it was. But it was kind of thought to be all the rage, and the Isle product wasn't just used on toilet paper. It was used as all kinds of disinfectant.
You win that
fact,
fact,
people
Marie.
Remember.
You win. You're 1-0 up.
Thank
because
you.
Just talking about medicated toilet paper is award-winning in and of itself. Rupa Huck, can you score a draw, or are you going down 2-0? What's your final fact?
Well, okay, if you don't like a cheeky Nando's, then instead my next fact is that it's the cradle of British rock and roll is in Ealing. So we have a blue plaque to the Ealing Club, which is where the Rolling Stones did their first gig. And if you've ever heard of The Who, of the Brand New Heavies, of Freddie Mercury, all these acts, White Lies more recently, an indie band, they all came from Ealing. So music is in our blood. And the Marshall amp, that was also devised in Ealing. And
Ealing is the home of rock and roll, Marie. Can you beat that?
Oh, I can, because Penistone is the cradle to the founding fathers of the modern game of association football. Hold on to your hats, Ed. Samuel Sunderland, the 19th century headmaster of Penistone Grammar School, the school I went to when I was growing up, introduced rules of football he learned at the University of Cambridge to his students. Sunderland student John Charles Shaw used those rules and became the first captain of the world's oldest football club, Sheffield FC. And Thirlestone-born John Marsh was also taught football by Sunderland and was the founding member of Sheffield Wednesday. But our footballing legacy continues because the fantastic John Stones, another Thirlestone lad, continues his legacy today and as captain England, achieving 87 caps and winning 14 trophies. And on top of that, we've got a glut of phenomenal musicians, including the Arctic Monkeys, came from High Green in my patch, Kate Rusby, and who the incredible folk singer, and Rachel McShane, another brilliant folk woman.
Marie is pulling out all the stops to get over the line at the very end.
Above me at school.
She's pulling out all the stops. But I have to say, I'm giving that round to Rupa. If it's the birthplace of the Rolling Stones, it wins every time. It's a draw. I said at the beginning that both of you are winners because you put across so well what it means to go and see your local constituency MP. It is a draw between Rupa Huck and Marie Tidball. You've all both been absolutely brilliant. I've got to say, Marie Tidball, you might have been undermined by the fact that lots of people have been texting in about Izal toilet paper. It's nothing to brag about, says Joe. Have you ever tried to use it? The medicated oil makes it less than optimally absorbent. And Dan says that Nelson Mandela House was actually in Bristol. So it's always great to hear from our listeners who always have something to say about the facts about our constituencies. But thank you to Marie Tidball and Rupa Huck, both absolutely brilliant guests. This is Ed Vasey on Times Radio.